Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today we're gonna learn about chemistry chapter 4, form 5, about polymer. What is polymer? Polymer is a long chain molecule that is made for a combination of many repeating basic units. The basic unit of a polymer is known as monomer. The monomer combination reaction to produce a polymer is called polymerization reaction. So the conclusion is like many monomers will combine to form a polymer and the reaction will called
Polymerization reaction. So there's two types of sources of polymer. The first one is natural polymers, which is polymers that are naturally available and can be obtained from our surroundings. The other source of polymer is synthetic polymers, which is man-made through chemical reactions in laboratories or factories.
Now we're gonna get into types of polymers. So there's three types of polymers. The first one is thermoplastic polymers. Thermoplastic polymers are polymers that can be repeatedly remolded upon heating and can be recycled. When heated, the thermoplastic polymers melt and solidify when they are cooled. Thermosetting polymers cannot be remolded after heating. Thermosetting polymers normally disintegrate or burn
Open heating and cannot be recycled. The last type of polymers is elastomer polymers that can be stretched and can return to the original shape when released. Elastomer polymers possess high elasticity properties.
There's two types of polymerization reaction. The first one is addition polymerization. Addition polymerization occurs when monomers that have double covalent bonds between two carbon atoms react with one another. During the reaction, the double bond is opened and monomers are added to the molecular chain to produce a polymer. The other polymerization reaction is condensation polymerization.
Condensation polymerization involves at least two different monomers. The monomers involved consist of two functional groups that will take part in the polymerization reaction. The product of condensation polymerization is a polymer and another byproduct such as water or HCl molecule.
Characteristics of synthetic polymers. The first one is good insulator of heat, inert and unreactive, lightweight, strong and hard, resistant to high heat. Then uses of synthetic polymers. Various medical and laboratory apparatus are made of polypropylene. Polyethylene is widely used as plastic bags.
Nylon produces threads that are important for the textile industry, and lastly, layering of acrylic polymer for roof waterproofing. So this four is the example of synthetic polymers, which is polypropylene, polyethylene, nylon, and acrylic polymer.
Now we're going to get into the other subtopic, which is 4.2 natural rubber. So rubber trees, or the scientific name Hevia brasiliensis, were brought to Malaysia in 1877. Latex is a white fluid obtained from rubber trees when the tree bark is tapped. Natural rubber that is found in latex is a natural polymer known as polyisoprene.
So latex is collected in liquid form for processing, or it can be left to coagulate and to be collected a day after it was taped. The collection of latex in liquid form should be done quickly because once exposed to the air for a few hours, the latex will start to coagulate and turn solid.
So this is the characteristic of natural rubber. The first one is a soft white solid at room temperature. Natural rubber can be stretched and can return to its original shape when released. At high temperature, natural rubber will become soft and sticky and cannot conduct electricity and is a good electrical insulator. Oxygen in the air can react with the double bond between carbons
And cause natural rubber to be oxidized. Reacts easily with acids, alkalis, and organic solvents. And lastly, natural rubber is water impermeable.
The next one is coagulation process of latex. There's four stages of this coagulation process. The first one is the negatively charged protein membrane causes a rubber particles to repel each other. After that, hydrogen ions from acid neutralize the negatively charged protein membrane. Then, rubber particles collide with one another that causes the protein membrane to break.
And the last stage is rubber polymers combine with one another that causes latex to coagulate. Acid can coagulate the latex by neutralizing the negatively charged protein membrane. Coagulation can take place by adding a weak acid into the latex, or it can occur naturally by leaving the latex exposed to the air. Bacteria in the air enter the latex and secrete lactic acid, which eventually causes the latex to coagulate.
Latex is also needed in liquid form to produce specific products such as gloves and rubber tubes. Alkaline solutions such as ammonia is added into the latex to ensure that coagulation does not take place. Alkaline solutions consist of hydroxide ions that can neutralize the acid produced by the bacteria. The protein membrane of rubber particles
Remains negatively charged and rubber particles will continue to repel when they draw near one another.
Vulcanization of rubber. Natural rubber is soft and easily oxidized when exposed to the air for a long period of time. The characteristic of natural rubber can be improved by undergoing the vulcanization process. During the vulcanization process, the double bond between carbons found in rubber molecules will react with sulfur or other substances to produce sulfur cross-links.
The sulfur cross-links make vulcanized rubber stronger.
Alternative vulcanization method. Vulcanization by using sulfur is the main method used to produce vulcanized rubber from natural rubber. This vulcanization method cannot be used for certain types of rubber, particularly synthetic rubber which does not contain carbon. Vulcanized rubber produced is free from sulfur and more environmentally friendly. Properties of vulcanized rubber. The formation of sulfur cross-links reduces the double bonds between two carbon atoms in vulcanized rubber that makes it harder to be oxidized. Strong sulfur cross-links prevent the rubber polymer from sliding when it is stretched and can return to its original shape when released. High heat energy is needed to break the linkage.
This condition makes vulcanized rubber more elastic and has high heat resistance. Vulcanized rubber allow various items to be produced compared to unvulcanized rubber.
The differences between vulcanized rubber and unvulcanized rubber. So vulcanized rubber is more elastic than unvulcanized rubber, and the hardness is hard, while unvulcanized rubber is soft. Vulcanized rubber has a high strength. On the other hand, unvulcanized rubber has a low strength, which is kind of weak.
Next, vulcanized rubber is resistant to high heat, while unvulcanized rubber is less resistant to high heat. Last one is vulcanized rubber is more resistant to oxidation. On the other hand, unvulcanized rubber is easier to be oxidized.
Alright, now we're gonna get into the last subtopic for this chapter, which is 4.3 synthetic rubber. What is synthetic rubber? Synthetic rubber is basically a synthetic polymer that is elastic in nature and elastomer polymer, having the advantage of mass production capacity while not being reliant to on the weather or diseases like rubber trees do.
Makes synthetic rubber the main choice for manufacturing industries. Now, the characteristic of synthetic rubber is hard, resistant to heat, elastic, resistant to chemicals, heat insulator, and the last one is resistant to oxidation.
Alright, so the last topic we're gonna discuss today is uses of rubber and the environment. So synthetic rubber takes a very long time to decompose and makes disposal difficult. For example, vehicle tires are among the products of synthetic rubber that need to be disposed of in large quantities. Meanwhile, natural rubber takes a short time to decompose biologically.
The use of natural rubber is limited due to the natural properties of natural rubber that is less resistant to heat and chemical solvents. This concludes that synthetic rubber takes a very long time to decompose, meanwhile natural rubber takes a short time to decompose biologically.
Alright, so that's all for today's class. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.